Hi, everyone, and welcome. Today is Friday, April 14th, 2023, and I know I'm a little bit early today. Normally I'm around 11 o'clock, and today I'm here at 10 because it's my daughter's birthday, and I'm heading over there to spend some time with her once I finish up the video. So welcome. I am so happy you're here with me, and I'm excited to share another new bundle. It's called the Seasonal Branches Bundle with you. So it's a sneak peek. And guess what? I have the new catalog. So those of you that have not received it yet, probably be coming in around the beginning of May or so. Very different look to it. I would love to be able to open up and show it to you. So we've got a couple weeks until we can do that. But until then, I'll keep giving you some sneak peeks of some of the bundles and stamp sets and other fun stuff that's in that catalog. So today we're going to get started because today I have two cards to show you using it. Lots of dies, different stamp sets, and I'm going to show you how to couple different ways that you can color those stamp sets. I really like using the blender pens on this stamp set, so I'm going to get busy, flip this camera down, and we're going to get started. Okay, hopefully you can see and hear me well. If you're here with me, I'd love to hear where you're from. If you have questions, post them in the comment section in the chat. I promise to try to keep an eye on it while we're doing this and answer your questions. If not, I do go back and answer them. Now, if you're on Facebook, coming over from Facebook, I did put a link there. Just click that link and you'll be able to come on over and join us. So today's first card, I'm going to show you what we're going to make. This is the card. And I'm tried to use a lot of the new colors in making today's cards. So we'll kind of go with that. And this one, we're using Lemon Lime Twist. So let's bring that, put that off to the side. And I want to bring in the bundle for you and show you what it looks like. I'm going to pull out my dies here, and I'm going to bring in the stamp set. This is a photopolymer stamp set called Seasonal Branches because it gives you so many options for making the branches. You have leaves for summer, you can color them for fall, you have apples for fall, you have these cute flowers, which we're going to use today. They kind of remind me of dogwood flowers. And then you even have some berries, and you have this cute, sweet little bird. I love the greetings. There's different fonts, and that you can pair them with one another, like sending an abundance of thanks or love, or get well wishes. And we're going to use a couple of these today. So now the dies, you have the option to cut the branches just from cardstock or stamp the branches and cut them out. You have the dies for the berries, the leaves, and also the flowers. You have where we're going to make some flowers today. You have the apples. So just a bunch of fun things. I really love this stamp set. I've been playing with it the last 3 days since I got it. And I'm excited to share that with you. So let's bring in our supplies for our first card. So I mentioned that we're using the Lemon Lime Twist. Now, don't worry about measurements. Just kind of sit back, relax, excuse me, and enjoy the video and the card making. At 6 o'clock tonight, you'll be able to click the link that's right down below here in the video description, and you'll be able to download a tutorial. You'll see measurements, supplies. Now remember, supply list isn't complete because a lot of what I'm using is not yet live for the public. So on May 2nd, I will go back in, update those supply lists, and you'll have a full list of supplies from the new catalog. So let's start with, this is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. I'm going to go ahead and fold it on the score line and just give it a good burnishing with my bone folder. Okay, now I am using the Bright and Beautiful Designer Series paper that I used when I made the balloon card, if you watched that. And really, really beautiful. It has most of all the new colors in it. So I chose a piece of this, and it is with the lemon lime twist. Now, this is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. So for this card, I'm staying with my background is just a straight cut of Designer Series paper. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to adhere this to our card and get that kind of out of the way. And then we're going to start our stamping. And I've done some ahead of time, but we're still going to stamp, and I'm going to show you how I did those. I used blender pens for these, which I really loved, and I'm going to show you the difference in how they look between the blender pens and the Stampin' Dimensionals. Now, I've used the deckled rectangles, and again, in the description or the PDF, I'll tell you exactly which deckled rectangles I use. Now, if you're not familiar with the deckled rectangles, hi, Mary, thanks for joining me. Oh, I'm glad you got your catalog. um, so with the deckled rectangles, I used these for the outside and actually for the inside also on one of the cards. So let's go ahead and I'm going to set this one off because that's going to be our first layer. And we're going to start with this one. Now, I want to add some branches and some leaves. So before I even do that, I want to add a little bit of like sun. I want it to have a little bit of a cheery look to it. So I'm going to pull in my Daffodil Delight and a blending brush. And we're going to go ahead and add just a little bit of color onto our card. Now I go ahead and I bring the color onto my brush, and then I tap off, and I want to get that spot, like you see the dark spot. I don't want it on my cardstock. So that way, if I tap off, I can get it. And I'm just gently kind of blending or brushing color onto the top of my rectangle here. And I just want it to be subtle. I don't want a lot. I want it to look a little just like sunlight kind of coming through. Now, I'm going to add a little bit of Calypso Coral to that to bring in a little bit more color. And again, tapping lightly and then just going to blend. I just want to give it like a blush, if that's the appropriate word, of that Calypso Coral. Just kind of highlight it with a little bit of the Daffodil Delight. And that looks pretty good to me. So let me pick that up and give you a look at how that is. So just enough to give it a little look like when we look at that branch, it's in the sunlight. So next I'm going to pull out my branch. And we are using the new color Pecan Pie. I love this color. I was really upset when Cinnamon Cider went away, but I really like Pecan Pie, so I'm happy again. So on this card, I'm simply gonna, hi Shirley, good morning, thanks for joining. Simply gonna stamp my branch on this one. And on our other card, you're going to see where we'll die cut the branch so that you have a little bit of idea of how they look a little bit differently. Now I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper, and we're going to set our branch off to the side. And I want to stamp my leaves, my flowers, and my bird. So let's get that all done. And because this is a photopolymer stamp, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my piercing mat because you actually do get a little bit crisper image if you use your piercing mat for that. So let's grab my Tuxedo Black Memento ink, and we're going to ink these up. I hope everyone is having a good day and you have some fun plans for the weekend. I am going to be doing the Creative 8 retreat, which is part of a quarterly retreat that we do with 4 of our different groups. And then I am spending some time with my 8-year-old granddaughter. For her birthday was last week and we celebrated, but her and I are going to go to lunch and just have some grandma time. Here's our bird. And now the last thing I want to stamp is our flowers. So I may not have pulled that out of the stamp set, so let's do that. And I did not. And we're going to mount that on a stamp, and we're going to get that down here. Now I want to show you a couple different ways that you can color these. And I have some different samples or examples to show you too. And I'm not going to color them completely because we would be here for quite a while. But I want to show you how you can color them and then show you the difference. So I chose to try them both with the Stampin' Blends and with a blender pen. So let's go ahead and we're going to start with our Stampin' Blends. I have Old Olive here. I have the light and the dark. Now for these, I'm going to use the bullet point. I am really partial, if you're new to the Stampin' Blends, you have a bullet point and you have a brush point. I really like that brush point, I have to tell you. But when I get to small, detailed images, I do like the bullet point. So let's just, as an example, I'm going to go ahead and add some color here. Now, when I did these images, my goal when I was coloring was not to color them completely. I wanted kind of a light, almost watercolor brushed look. I wanted some white left in them. So you're going to notice on the images that we use on the cards, that's what I have. So here's our Stampin' Blends. And I'm going to go ahead now, bring in my dark Stampin' Blends, and I'm going to use this just to add some color and some depth and dimension to the accent lines that the stamps have already provided us. And again, using the bullet point because they're small images and I have a little bit more control with that. Now I like, let me pull that in. I like that. Hopefully you can see that. I like that light look with just the dark emphasis, and I like some of those white images. If you don't, you can go back and use your light Stampin' Blends. It doesn't matter if you start with the light or the dark, and you can just blend these in, just like I'm doing here. It doesn't really matter how you start off. It's just all your preference, what you're most comfortable doing. So if I add more color to blend these in, let me show you that. Good morning from Honeybee Stamping. Thanks for joining me. These are with the blender pens, so you can see that now. Now I'm going to show you with the Stampin' Blend, or with the blender pen. That was with Stampin' Blends. I really liked it with the blender pen. So let's pull in our Old Olive again. I'm going to get rid of this mat so I don't get any ink on it. And I pull in my classic pads and I have a block and I'm just going to dip that block in my stamp pad. And that's what I'm going to use. Now, if you're not familiar with the blender pens, there's Stampin' Up. You have two ends. Both ends are the same. And you can use this to spread your ink. So let me show you. If you've not used them before, I spread my ink way out. I was looking for a light color, and I kind of check it out on my paper. So let's go to over on this side, and I'm just going to go ahead and pull the color through. Again, remember, I'm not looking to color the image completely. I like a little bit of that white. I want a watercolor look to this. So just going to pull this through. They're so easy to use. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to add that accent lines like I did in the others. And I'm simply going to use those accent marks that the stamps provide. And it's going to give me, I think, whether you use the blends or this blender pen, it gives you a little bit more depth to your coloring. And it gives you that dimension. So let me see if I can pick that up to show you here. Hopefully you can see that. They both look very similar. It's just a preference. Now, if you're new to the blender pen, I want to show you how to use it to clean it, because we're going to go on and I'm going to show you how I did the flower and the bird. And I did the flowers in two different ways. To clean it, I simply gently just use a scrap piece of paper, and I go on the side to clean it off. I don't go on the point because I don't want to mash my point or dull it or flatten it out. So there is, it's clean and ready to use. Now I will typically cap that and go to the other side. And you'll notice when we come back to it, that tip is pretty clean and there's nothing else there. So let me show you with the bird what I did. I did a bluebird. So just quickly going to dip again in my, and spread this out. And this is what I did with the flowers too. I just kind of pulled through and I laid down, you can lay down your light color or your dark, but I kind of just pulled it through and again, wasn't looking to get the whole image colored. Now with this, I used, I'm going to show you our Memento, Tuxedo Black Memento ink to stamp it. Now you can see the colors getting lighter. And then if you want to go back and add just a little bit of accents, or again, using just those points from the stamp. Now with this one, I did stamp it in the Memento ink, but I want to show you another one where I stamped it using, I'm still learning all the names. This is a new color, Azure Afternoon, which is what I'm using. So here I stamped it in Azure Afternoon. I used that pad instead of the Tuxedo Black. And then I just pulled the color through with the blender pen. And added a little bit on the accent points as I wanted to. So that's another option for you. And then, you know, it just is a matter of preference whether you like the dark outline or whether you like, let me pull in the card to show you, or whether you like using it with just the color that you may be stamping with. So for our bird, the bluebird, again, I did the same. I just kind of pulled my color through. You can use your blender pens or Stampin' blends. You can use watercolors on these, and with watercolors, you can blend with your water painter or you can blend with the blender pen here. So pulling that color, let's pick up a little bit more. And I like then because you can just go back and wipe your or wash off your blocks, and you're good to go. Okay, so there's our bird. And now I'm just going to clean this off again gently. And you can see as you do that, you're kind of, the colors leaves. I'm going to get this out of the way. And then you can finish up your bird. With this, I would use the Calypso Coral. Let's wipe off our block and stamp this. Get the color on this. Pick up your color. Again, I want to check it. Make sure it's the light. I'm looking for a lighter color here for my bluebird. I have to tell you, yesterday when I was, or the day before, I guess it was, it's been very warm. I'm in Northeast Ohio, and we've been hitting 78 and 80 the last several days. And again today and tomorrow before we get some storms coming in. And when I was making my cards the other day to show you for today, I had a robin pop up in a tree right in front of me because I have a big tree outside my window, and was just kind of looking in the window at me. And it kind of inspired me for one of the cards to color this as a robin. So here's our bluebird. You can see pretty easy to color. And then I'm just going to take the bullet point on my Stampin' Blend and just go ahead and add the yellow. I have Daffodil Delight here for his beak. So that's ideas for the stamping and for the coloring. So let's go ahead, because I've got everything else done. Let's go ahead and put our flower together, or our tree together. So we're going to go ahead, and these were the two leaves I colored ahead of time to show you. This one was colored with Stampin' Blends, and this one was colored with the ink and the blender pen. So you can hopefully see not a whole lot of difference. They look very, very similar. So it's just a matter of preference. So let's go ahead and add these with some Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm just going to pop these up on the back here. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm so happy you found me. And if you are returning, as Mary and Shirley have for so long, thank you for your support. And if you're catching me on a replay, thank you again. I really appreciate it. You help me grow my channel, and I love sharing with you. I love stamping. It's a passion for me, and I love card making. But I really love, even more than that, being able to share that with all of you, and hopefully bring some joy to your day and ideas for your crafting. So I'm going to go ahead and take off my backs here. I'm going to pull in my little container here to put these in. You know, you find these all over the house. How many of you have that problem? I actually once found one on my Golden's nose, because his nose is always where it shouldn't be. So I'm going to go ahead, and you can see the leaves kind of fit right where the branches are. So there's that. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the flowers to that. And we're going to use flowers that I colored. Now we're going to use ones that where I used the actual classic pad, and I'm looking for it here because they're cut and ready to go. Even with the dimensionals, here they are. Got stuck to the I'm just going to add these over my leaves. I just want to add a little bit of color to it. And you can kind of lay them down however you want. Now this one, wait a minute, that's behind, there we go. With this one, I use the Azure Afternoon and simply pulled it through. So that's that one. And now we have our little bluebird, just like the one you saw me color. And I'm going to put some dimensionals on him and we're going to pop him up. All right, we should be good to go here. And he is positioned so he looks just like he is standing on that branch. So we're going to go ahead and add this layer to the lemon lime twist deckled rectangle. Okay, now I want to stamp my greeting, and I'm going to stamp, let's make sure it still fits, sending an abundance of. So I'm going to use my Tuxedo Black Memento ink for that, and we're going to ink that up. All right, let's get some of this out of here. And I'm going to stamp right on, oh, this slipped a little bit. You know, with working with the deckled rectangles, because they're so uneven, the edges, because of the way they cut, which is the way they're meant to be, you're never quite sure if you get them straight or not. I have to keep looking at them. I'm just going to pull this up a little bit here, because to me it does not look straight. That looks better. And let's just pop that back down and add a little bit of glue on this corner. Okay, so now I'm going to just stamp my greeting right here. Sending an abundance of, and we are going to go to the inside and add the inside to that. Now we're going to pop this one up too, and I'm going to pop it up with some dimensionals here. So I'm going to pull in my larger dimensionals. And put this on the front. That looks good. So here's the front of our card. And you can see that little bit of blush on the top. And let's go to the inside. So for the inside, I have a piece of 4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to add, I cut a 3/8 inch strip by 5 1/4 inch strip. And this one might even be a little bit long that we'll trim it off. We're going to add that to the edge of the card. That's I love to use my designer series paper on the edges on the inside. I think it carries your design through, and it's an easy way to add some color. Let's trip this off. Now for this one, I want to add a little bit more of a greeting. Sending an abundance of, I'm going to go back in the front if I can and add the word love. Let's see if we can do that. Let's try it. We'll see. I made this card for a neighbor that's going through a hard time. So So sending an abundance of love. Hopefully you can see that. And then on the inside, we're going to use the greeting. And it's missing. Where'd it go here? Here it is. I'm going to use the greeting that says, may you feel sheltered in the love that surrounds you. She's going through a hard time, some illness in the family, and just wanted her to know she's being thought of and remembered. So let's do this. And making sure that's straight. I am going to stamp off, and that looks good. And we're going to go ahead and add this to the inside of our card. Hi, Shirley. Thank you. I'm glad you like the colors. I love the new colors. And we're going to actually use different colors on the next card. I have to admit, when the new colors came out, and everybody was kind of guessing what colors they were hoping would come back, and Lemon Lime Twist kept coming up. And I wasn't part of Stampin' Up! When Lemon Lime Twist was here before. So I kept thinking, oh, it looks a lot like Parakeet Party. But you know what? I've used Lemon Lime Twist more than I have anything else. So I really do love that color. So here's our first card. Now I'm going to show you the difference. Here's one where we used just the Azure Afternoon and pulled the color through on the flowers. And here's one where I stamped in Tuxedo Black and then just added my color with the blender pen. So two different ways to do that. So let's move on to our second card, which won't take us quite as long because I've already showed you the coloring. So here's the card we're going to make. With this one, I am using bubble gum, and I'm also using the Moody Mauve, which to me looks a lot like Rocco Rose, but I think it's very pretty. Now again, I am using the Bright and Beautiful Designer Series paper. So let's go ahead and bring that in and bring in all of our pieces parts. Okay, again, we're using 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And we're going to use the dies here a little bit more than we did on the last one for the flowers and that. I'm calling them apple blossoms. And we're also going to use a piece of the Designer Series paper. And I want to show you how I cut it. I'm going to use the deckled rectangles for all of the layers on this card. And I chose to use from the Bright and Beautiful, the one that is almost like an ombre look that goes with the bubble gum. Bubble bath. I want to keep calling it bubble gum. Bubble bath. And let's grab our trimmer. We actually don't need the trimmer yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay this down, and I want to get all of the colors in for this. So to do that, I'm going to die cut this, and it's going to leave me, I want to leave myself an edge because I'm then going to use that cut edge on the inside of my card. So let's just lightly tape this. And I'm going to trim this off before I run over to the cut and emboss machine so that it's a little bit easier to fit through. So let me die cut that quickly. Oh, I'm so glad that you love the colors, everybody. I'm going to run over, die cut this, come back and show you a trick. So here's our die cut. This is going to be our first layer on the outside for this card. So I'm just going to lightly take this off. Now, just if you need, I always have to tape things down. I use the Post-it note tape because it comes off so easily and doesn't tear the paper. You may have washi tape. Use what you have. Now we're going to cut this edge right off. And you're going to use this on the inside of your card. And cut here, take it here, and we're going to set this off to the side. And we'll use that again. So we're going to go ahead and put this layer down. That layer looks a little smaller than it should for some reason. It really does. I'm not sure why. But I think we'll probably just have to go with it. So let's go with that for now. So here's our first layer. And I'm going to just set this on here. Now I did use different size, just kind of worked my way down. And the next one is another layer of the, oh my gosh, not the Berry Burst, but the Moody Mauve. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to layer this down too. I love these new colors. They're fun. They're so much fun to work with. And they go so well together with our other classic colors and also with each other. I think they did a great job. So now we're going to take our next rectangle. And again, I'm going to pull in my blending brushes and we're just going to add a little bit of sunshine to that upper edge. There we go. All right, and we're going to add a little bit of Calypso Coral. It's kind of like a kiss of sun. That's kind of how I'm thinking of it. Just kind of goes with the bright days that we're having here in Ohio, which has been a nice change for us. All right. So with this one, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp using that same stamp that I did before, Sending You an Abundance. And here it is. And I'm going to stamp that first this time, right down in the corner. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. And I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to add anything at this time to that. And now we're going to start to assemble our card. So for this one, I had a branch that I cut out using just the dies. Now remember I said there were two different branches, one that you could use if you stamped the branch and one that you could just die cut the branch. So it's much thinner. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere that down. And to do that, I'm going to use my fine tip glue. Now, this would be a great piece to use the adhesive sheets. And I am using the pecan pie here again for that branch. So it's just kind of what you're most comfortable with. I'm pretty comfortable with using a fine tip glue. Um, but some people might prefer using that adhesive sheet. It might give you a little bit more, I don't know, control. Now I did cut my leaves out for this one, and we're going to pop these up. So let's go ahead and do that. And for this one, we're going to make flowers out of die cuts. We're not going to be stamping anything. And I have those die cut to show you and how fun they are to put together. I added a little bit of color, or we're going to add just a little bit of color that's 2-layered. I used the bubble bath, and I'm going to use the blender pen. And we're just going to add a little bit of like a blushed look to the white on these 2-layered flowers. Oh, I agree that I love the copper clay too. I have just been playing so much. I think the copper clay, if you saw me last week, I used copper clay for some of the cards I made, and they came out so pretty. I love that color. So here's our flowers. I'm going to bring these in. These are out of bubble gum. And I had a few more here. Here they are. And a bird. So you can see here, I cut these out of the bubble bath. And these are out of a basic white. And these are the dies in this set. You have 3 for your background, and then you have 3 that cut separately for your more detailed inside of this die cut. So let's just go ahead and we're going to add these right to here. And they just kind of fit inside. I'm going to just add all 3. And then I'm going to show you how to add a little bit of color to the center of the flower using that blender pen. So here's our 3 flowers. So I'm going to bring in my bubble bath. Now, if these were the old stamp pads, you could squeeze them and get some of that color on your lid. I don't have the strength in my hand to do that. So again, I use my stamps. So here I'm going to bring in my blender pen, and you can see it's cleaned. And I'm just going to pull in a little bit, smear that color, and I'm going to check it here on the paper. And I'm just going to stroke out from the center and add a little bit of color on all 3 of them. Just to kind of pull those 2 together so it's not such a stark white. These kind of reminded me of cherry blossoms or apple blossoms. I don't know. I really had fun making these. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I am going to take my Daffodil Delight, and in the center there are a bunch of little dots that are there from the die. I'm simply dabbing those dots with the bullet tip of my blender pen to add the pollen or the center of the flower. Let me pull these up for you, and hopefully you'll be able to see what I've done. You can see you have a little bit of that bubble bath in the center, kind of going out toward the tips, and then your center. And we're going to just glue these on. right onto the leaves so that they look like the flowers on a tree, or the apple blossoms, I guess I'm calling them, or cherry blossoms. I'm guessing cherry blossoms are gone by now. But just some really fun stamps and dies in this set. And I can see us doing a lot with it through all seasons. Now here's my little bird. This is the one that was looking at me through the window. I colored like a robin. And for this, I used the pecan pie and the calypso coral. So let's put him on here too. And then we're ready to do the inside of our card. Pop this one right there. Thank you, Shirley. You have a wonderful weekend too. I'm so happy you were able to join me. So let's pop him on here. He's standing on the branch and he is ready to go on the front of our card. So for the front of our card, I decided, you're trying to use up what's going to be leaving. So I pulled in the 2021-2023 opal rounds. These are going to go away. Use what you have. There's a lot of other gems coming out and embellishments that are coming in that new catalog, and that will go with these new colors. So I'm a big one of using what you have. So I'm using this to kind of use them up so that I don't waste them. So here's the front of our card. Now for the inside, and we're almost done. I have a piece of bubble bath here, cut with the deckled rectangles. Again, I'll have all the sizes for you. And then remember that we cut this edge off from our, what do I want to say? When we were cutting out the deckled rectangle, we're going to use this right on our deckled rectangle. And I'm going to use the edge that is not even. You can use it either way, but I wanted to use this rough edge on the rough edge of that deckled rectangle so that I kept it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this down, and then we're going to trim off what we don't need. Now, do they match perfectly? No, but you can get that right up to the edge. It covers it up. And then you're going to just trim it off. And I have scissors. I do have a pair of snips that are really old from Stampin' Up. Then I'm just going to use, that I use only for adhesives. I'm just going to use to trim that off. And I'm just cutting, fussy cutting right along that deckled rectangle. And then I keep that shape. So here's our inside, and in here I wrote sending an abundance of, and I'm simply going to stamp the word thanks, and then allow me to write a little note on the bottom if I choose to do so. So let's go ahead and stamp this. And add this to our layer of bubble bath. See, I did get it right this time. I did not call it bubble gum. It does look like bubble gum, but I like bubble bath better. So, and we'll adhere this, and we have our two cards. Now, if you enjoyed today's video, I'd love if you'd give me a thumbs up. Feel free to share the video. It helps me grow my channel, and I appreciate that. If you are new to my channel and you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to have the opportunity to earn your business and send you a catalog just go up to that right-hand corner on the YouTube and hit my website where you can contact me via email. And I will send a catalog to you. So here's our 2 cards. So let's bring in the one where we stamped and colored using the Memento ink. Oh, somehow we got switched back over here. Sorry about that. I don't know how that happened. So here's our cards. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you have some fun plans to the weekend. Stay safe and healthy. Thank you for watching me, and I will be back with you Tuesday at 11 a.m. Have a great weekend, everybody.